Thank you very much. Mr. Chairman and members of the subcommittee, I'm honored to be here today to testify on improving health coverage for American employers and American families. My focus today is on ensuring access to affordable, meaningful coverage for all workers who obtain health coverage through their employer, which in some circumstances may be outside the national insurance exchange that is a prominent feature of the current health care debate. Headline stories usually focus on problems in the so-called non-group market, where individuals struggle on their own to obtain meaningful health insurance coverage at a reasonable cost, and mostly fail to find it. But the employer market, where 160 million Americans obtain their health insurance, boasts plenty of problems too. Most importantly, nearly 9 million workers employed by larger employers were uninsured in 2007. In some cases, employees are not eligible for insurance. In others, they cannot afford to enroll in the coverage that their employer offers. Finally, even if workers are eligible for and can afford this coverage, they cannot be confident that it will be good enough to pay for their health care needs. We know that while adults with employer-sponsored health insurance are less likely to be underinsured than those who purchase coverage through the individual market, even employees in large companies experience underinsurance. Of course, employers, and large employers in particular, have also pioneered innovative approaches to health coverage and cost control, including quality improvement initiatives, wellness programs, and employee education efforts. These types of initiatives have reduced their health care spending and blazed the trail for delivery system improvements in the broader health care system. With these market conditions in mind, Congress may wish to consider exactly how health reform addresses gaps in the employer market. While all employers and workers may benefit from obtaining coverage through the healthy, competitive market an exchange will create, Congress may decide that the risks of opening the exchange to all employers outweigh the benefits to workers, particularly the possibility that employers with older or sicker workforces may enter the exchange in larger numbers, thus destabilizing rates during the startup phase of an exchange. Instead, Congress may wish to consider improvements to the health insurance market outside the exchange, improvements that can guarantee coverage and consumer protections for all workers with employer-sponsored health insurance. In that case, there are several steps to consider. First, Congress can make sure that American families can access health care whether they obtain their coverage inside or outside the exchange. Regardless of where Americans obtain their health insurance, they need to know that their health benefits will be accessible and protected. Basic consumer protections include complaints and appeals processes, enrollment mechanisms, plan information requirements, and plans' responsibility to make data available for monitoring and oversight activities, as well as the vigorous oversight activities themselves. These protections should apply to all health insurance, whether the policy originates from within the insurance exchange, an employer-purchased policy, or a self-insured employer plan. Second, health coverage should be adequate and affordable inside and outside the exchange. For example, to ensure affordability for families, Congress may choose to require companies that offer coverage outside the exchange to pay a minimum proportion of premiums. Similarly, to ensure that health benefits are adequate, Congress may choose to apply the same benefit standards to policies sold inside and outside the exchange. Of course, if the final reform package includes an individual requirement to carry health insurance, then this requirement will also interact with the standards for employer-sponsored benefit packages. An individual coverage requirement would necessarily include a minimum benefit standard and an expectation that workers could meet this requirement through the coverage offered by their employer. If Congress chooses to explicitly share responsibility for health coverage across individuals and employers, then it may be best to apply the same coverage standard to both parties, a standard that would also apply to coverage inside and outside the exchange. Any steps Congress may take to guarantee good coverage outside the exchange will probably represent little or no change for many large employers, since any new requirements are likely to reflect what these employers do today. But affordability and coverage standards will increase costs for the employers who offer substandard benefits and for employers who cover only a modest proportion of health insurance premiums themselves. Therefore, Congress will want to consider the trade-offs involved for these employers and their workers. Some employers may, if they can, drop coverage altogether. Others may pass costs on to their employees, which will particularly affect lower-skilled and lower-wage workers. So Congress may choose to provide additional options for these vulnerable workers. While all workers should have access to affordable coverage, low-income workers should have additional avenues for enrolling in coverage that works best for them. By enabling these workers to obtain coverage through the exchange, even though they work for large employers who do not participate in the exchange, Congress can improve these workers' overall financial health and well-being. To conclude, Congress faces choices about how to guarantee adequate, affordable coverage for Americans who work for large employers. However, the benefits of making these decisions are irrefutable. Reforming our nation's healthcare system is a challenging task, but the results will be worth it: lower costs and better coverage. Thank you for your commitment to providing affordable, high-quality health coverage for all Americans.